everybody, and welcome to the Winding Road Podcast. Let me roll my windows up here. Got Ace along for the ride with us today. It's been a while since I've even done one of these things. Trying to catch up on posting them. Whatever. Consistency is the key, but whatever. I'm just going to try to throw some stuff. I'm trying to try to be as consistent as I can with putting stuff out there. But if I'm not, I'm not, and I'm not going to worry about it, just letting things happen naturally. I got a lot of other stuff I'm trying to work on, and, I don't know, I've been getting into recreation even more and more and more. It's like I got to figure out a balance, though, between recreation and the things that I want to accomplish, man. Like, my perfect ideal day would be like, work on stuff for like 3 or 4 hours, and then go do something recreational for a couple hours, and then read. And then maybe watch a little bit of TV. Like, to me, that'd be the perfect day. But to be honest with you, I haven't felt the, I don't know if desire is the right word. I haven't been doing a lot of deep thinking. I mean, I have and I haven't, like I haven't had any, I feel like a lot of these times I feel like I, go through something and then I got to click on here and generalize it for you so that I might be able to help some people, yada, yada, yeah. But lately, man, I've just been boiling down, keeping things simple. And but I still do read a lot of articles, and that's what made me want to click on here today. And hopefully I can get caught up on these things, and you'll actually be hearing them, within a few weeks or so of when I actually record them. But I think I just posted one from like April the other day. Now we're sitting here in September, so whatever. Ace, people can't see me. They probably don't want to see me. They just want to see you. Probably. And check out Ace Adventures as well, guys, on the old YouTube. I try to post one of those a month, one disc golf journey a month. I don't always do the best. Spend a lot of time trying to do my wrestling podcast and stuff, but I'll be consistent, and then I'll slip off. So I'm trying to be more consistent with anything, because I think that'll translate to recreational activities as well, and staying with them and doing them, and, consistency is the key. That's how you win. That's how you win. You could have a guy that's really, really good at something, but then he gets in his own head, and then he's bad. And then he, folds under pressure, whatever, has a bad game, whatever. I don't want to have bad games. They're always not going to be on. That doesn't mean you can't still be consistently good. So that's what I strive to try to be. But the reason I clicked on here is, I don't know, I was reading an article, and it's like I already do these things, and then I read the article, I'm like, oh, yeah, that makes sense. Like, I do that. Good. And that is, I don't know, saying something about taking the scientific method of approach to our thoughts, I guess is what it was saying, and not attaching ourselves to our ideals. And I feel like I do a decent job of that. It's just like, okay, whether it be positive or whether it be negative, if I don't attach myself to it, then I'm able to keep my emotions in check and have that emotional awareness that I think is so huge, so key to everything, man. So key. And so, how do we have that emotional awareness? We don't attach ourselves to our ideals. And I think curiosity was also a thing that popped up in that article. And I've talked about that on here a lot before. The Winnie the Pooh approach is curious about everything. So if I'm curious about everything, like physical, yes, that's great. But now let's take the mental approach to being curious about everything. If I don't attach myself to my ideals, it allows me to be more curious, because I'm always, most of the time, trying to play devil's advocate. It's not that I'm trying to, like, just, somebody presents a bunch of evidence and I'm like, I'm gonna argue against you just because I like arguing. No, it's not that at all. It's just I'm curious about the other side. It's like, okay, I'm good at listening. I'm listening. I can always do better, of course, but listening. And But then in my head, I'm also like, oh, and then I'm starting to get these other thoughts about another way to think about things. It's like I'm not interested really in trying to prove myself right. I'm interested in all the facts and more interested in proving myself wrong. Like I think that's part of the scientific method, you know. They're not sitting there, if they got this theory, you know, yes, of course, like they're trying to prove it right, but once they think they got everything down and they proved it right, then they have to try to prove it wrong to see if their theory holds up. And I think that's a key to our thinking as well. I really do, because then I'm not worried about whether I'm right or wrong. I'm just trying to get all the information, man, and I'm curious about it. And I don't know. It's just really interesting to me. It allows us to have that emotional awareness. And I think with all that too, I think we're able to have that emotional awareness. Like, I feel like I'm always like a step, like I lead the observer life. So I observe things around me. I observe everything. I'm always trying to think about, you know, I'm thinking about different things. Like, man, not a lot anymore with like people or things that's going on around me, but it is that, but it's more of like I'm a step outside of myself. Like I'm looking at myself like obviously I'm in my body, but I'm always a step, like I'm not above, but if that makes any kind of sense, like I detach myself from my own ideas, which is basically what I was saying a minute ago. So if I'm detaching myself from my ideals, it's just like, all right, I'm always a step back. Like I'm in there, I can be in there at any moment. I can really step in, I can lock in these recreational sports and be in the zone and be purely locked in and focused on what I'm doing. But if I'm having conversations with people, like it is the mindfulness, quote unquote, you know, and I think mindfulness emotional awareness comes from being a step removed from what's happening. And I think I'm able to remove myself, you know, from what's happening and just observe it, you know, by realizing the finiteness of everything, that, you know, eventually this all goes away. It all goes away. So I'm not going to just be totally just going all out, balls to the wall on everything and getting and worrying about things and, you know, and making things out bigger than they need to be, because it's only a problem because it's happening now. I like to say it's not going to be a problem eventually. Like, so, all right, so yeah, okay, cool. It's still a problem now. Like that's important. It's happening now. But if I can take that step back and take the broader picture and look at it from a little bit broader of a scope, then I think that's able to help me assess and be a better human, a universal human, if you will. Yeah, I don't know. I paused it there for a second because I get these other thoughts that come in too, that I'm like, I got to finish making the point I make, and then sometimes I forget what else I want to say. But then another thought just came to my mind, so I clicked it back on. And I was watching Theo Vaughn with, I believe her name is Swart. I just downloaded her book on Kindle. She was on Theo Vaughn podcast the other day. You probably have to scroll back if you want to see that now by the time you see this. But she was on there talking about, you know, a neuroscientist on there talking about like the things in our brain and things like that. But there's like a certain part there's somewhere in our brain that there's a part where like fear is stored. Like somewhere up there, like that's where all the fear comes from, and people that like go climb these cliffs and things like that. Oh, there was a snake in the middle of the winding road. Boy, I saw something black at the very last second, and praise God, baby, as Theo would say, I went right over in between it, didn't kill it. And just not a big fan of kill. I mean, I eat meat, yeah, cool, but you know, I'm not a big fan of killing things. You know, I think everything serves a purpose. So I'm glad I didn't I'm glad I didn't hit that snake. The only time I'll ever kill things, like, yeah, obviously if you get a mouse in your house, it's like, well, I mean, I guess you could trap them, but I go for the easy kill. Like spiders and such, like, I guess I could put them in a jar, but I don't know. I smack them, or bugs in my house, whatever it is, anything, I kill them. Like, I don't know. I justify that by saying, well, you can live, but you broke in, you invaded my space, so, well, shoot, sorry for you. That's the breaks. That's the breaks. Void's the deal. Void's the deal. Cross the line. What was I saying? Oh yes, the fear thing in the brain. So these people that go around rock climbing and doing all this crazy stuff, like they got, yes, like I guess, they're seeking out adrenaline for sure, the quote unquote adrenaline junkie. So yes, I think that plays a part of it in them seeking adrenaline, but it's also the thing that, like, is where the fear is stored in our brains. Like that theirs is not active, or not just not there altogether for the most part. And so then that made me think about, like, how I went from, I think that part of myself was certainly very active throughout a lot of my life. I've talked about going from a worrywart to then, going and worrying about nothing, going too far in the other direction. Because if you don't worry about, it's not worry, but you can be concerned about things. But for a while there, it was like I wasn't even concerned about anything, and so then I didn't care. It's like I didn't care. So then, therefore, like, be careful on that, because then you can get depressed about things and feel like nothing matters. So it's like, all right, how do I worry? How do I not worry? How do I not have any fear? But how do I still care? Such an important question. I ask myself that quite often. I feel like I'm doing a decent job of kind of figuring that out now. But just the neuroplasticity, man, and we talk about creating those new patterns in the brain. Like, all that is totally possible. And just again, it goes by the nature, and things like all these things have words, and they were talking about it on there. Like, it's the visual, pleasury, sensory, something. Like that. Like, if we're out hiking around doing cool things, like those things help us, and can help create those new brain waves, create those new paths in the brain. So I feel like leading a healthier lifestyle and doing all those things has absolutely 1000% helped me create those new brain waves. And I wonder if it's like, all right, I'm creating these new brain waves, so then that gives me the realization that, like, all right, cool, no fear, man, no fear. So that part of my brain, like, is pretty damn deactivated. Pretty damn deactivated, man. And I love it. What are you whining about, Ace? Yeah, we're just driving around, buddy. We're on the Winding Road podcast. Yeah, I know you want to get outside and play, and that's what we're going to take you to do, my friend. Yes. But, all right, I don't know. It would help if I wrote things down, for sure. I can't do that while I'm driving, so you just get my jumbled thoughts sometimes. And they're not always jumbled. I feel like I made a little bit of sense there, huh? But I don't think you always get the best of what I'm trying to think, so. But that's all good. It's what the Winding Road's about. Again, encourage you guys, like, listen to podcasts like mine. Like, have your own thoughts. And I know a lot of us probably do, just out driving around. It's when we get a chance to think about life and kind of examine it, man. But yeah, just taking that step back from your situation you're in will help you observe it. And again, like, whenever we start getting angry about things or agitated about things, like, it blinds us, man. We're not able to see clearly and access the full breadth of our knowledge whenever we are in those situations. Just get worked up, and then it doesn't work, man. It doesn't work, and then we make bad decisions because of our anger, because of our agitated, or a lot of times because we want to try to prove things right. It's just crazy to think, like right now in the middle of the political season, and whatever with politics, But it's just kind of amazing how we've gotten to this place where it's like, man, we just want to try to prove our side right. I don't like sides, man. Like, yes, of course, fundamental things, like I'm on the side of love, absolutely 1000%. I choose love. I choose that. But, you know, when it comes to like politics or anything like that, or just things in life where we're like, all right, we want to try to prove that we're right. Like, why? Why do we have to be right? I mean, I guess because it makes us feel good, you know, knowing we're right. I mean, you can take it down to a competition, you know, winning and losing. Like, of course, I want to win. Absolutely, I want to win. But I guess what? I've done a lot more winning since I realized that I'm not concerned with winning or losing. I'm concerned with always doing my best. So if I go out there and I always do my best, then I'm doing good, and that takes focus. That takes getting in that zone, man, and getting lost in the eternal now, doing whatever you are doing. So it does. So, you know, yeah, there's absolutely times again where I'm trying to get locked in on what I'm doing, so that I'm living forever in that moment, because I'm not timed, whatever. It's like time doesn't exist. I'm not worried about time. I'm not thinking about anything else. I'm not thinking about tomorrow. Like, that just speeds up things too much. I think that's a real problem. You know, they say as you age, time goes by faster, but I also think that by just always being concerned, I'm not going to use the word worry, but even though a lot of us do, you're worried, but you can worry about the future, what's going to happen next, and, you know, you start getting stressed out about it and everything. Like, I don't know, that just speeds it up for me, you know. And don't get me wrong, like I'm eager to return to the spiritual realm as well, for sure. Like, you know, look in the Bible, it says I'd rather be at home with Christ. Oh, there's a squirrel with a nut on a winding road. Oh, Ace is going crazy. He was meandering across the road with a nut in his mouth. Nut up or shut up, squirrel. You can shut up too, Ace. Just kidding. I'm not going to be mean to you. I love you. But yeah, man, don't speed it up, guys. Don't speed it up. Keep it going slow. Like, okay, that wasn't what I was talking about. Yeah, no, like the Bible says, you know, like I'd rather be home with Christ than, you know, be stuck in this world. Like, it's whatever. We're in a fallen world. So yeah, a lot of things suck, but I don't know. I'm just going to choose. It's perspective, man. It's perspective. I think, you know, social media and all that stuff nowadays, you know, the negative just wants to show us the negative. You know, yeah, granted, there's a lot of positive on there too, but a lot of it's negative, and for whatever reason, human nature, like, I don't know, maybe because we're in this fallen world, so it's easier to get attached to the negative than it is the positive. But man, if you look at it, like, I mean, like, again, like, and social media just amplifies all that, all the bad stories and everything, and I don't know. And then now it seems like, oh, a lot of people have that perspective of this world. This is such a terrible place. When in reality, in my reality, I don't look at it that way, man. I don't look at it that way. Yes, of course, like, there's a lot of that determined, like, who I am, what body this soul was put into. Yes, a lot of people have it a whole heck of a lot worse than I do, and a lot of people have it a lot better, man. I am the man in the middle. Y'all. All right, writing update. That's enough deep philosophical talk. Writing update. Still have not got I still haven't formatted my novella. You know, getting ready to turn going to go over the hill pretty soon, as they say back in the day. But yeah, I don't know. I don't think 40 over the hill. I don't know, man. No, it's not really. Not really. Like, I don't know. Like 30s, like, I feel like, you know, obviously you have all those developmental years, and you go from 20 to 30, and I was like, party, have fun. Like, still with the realization of, yes, one day I do want to come out of all this, and I will come out of all this, and I have the faith that I'm going to come out of all this. But I'm going to have as much fun, and I'm going to have some fun, and I did. Got lost in the pleasures a lot, for sure. Had a hell of a good time doing it. Wasn't necessarily the right thing to do, but I did it. Then, you know, now from like 30 to almost 40 now, it's like, okay, now I'm learning all these things and learning how to live a better life, learning that some of that stuff necessarily wasn't good for me. You know, it brought me momentary, how do you say that word? Momentary happiness, but it didn't give me joy. So now, you know, I'm like figuring out how to give myself joy, and again, how to worry less and all that stuff. So it's like a learning period from my 30s to 40s. So now it's like, all right, I'm going to keep learning for sure, no matter what, always. That's never been lost. That's always happened. I'm going to keep doing that. Absolutely. 1,000% I'm going to keep doing that. But it's like, all right, from 40s to 50s, like, it's go time. Like, let's get some shit done. So I think now that's kind of kicked me in gear to be like, okay, you know, like, I don't know. Sometimes have a problem of being like, okay, whenever this and this happens, then I'll do this, you know. Like, I'll wait for something like, you know, all right, I'm coming back from a vacation. Okay, now it's really time to hammer down and get locked in on all the activities and things that I'm trying to do to try to accomplish my goals and dreams, yada, yada. Yeah, but it's like, no, don't do that. Now's the right time. I'm doing it again. I'm doing it again, but there's never going to be, I don't know, is there never going to be a better time than now? I don't know. I mean, sometimes you have to wait on things. Sometimes you have to be patient on things, but I don't know, if you're trying to get things done, like, and at least, you know, even if you don't have the time or whatever, make time for sure, but do little things to it. You know, you got to turn the water spout on then. You can't just be like, all right, cool, I'm going to stand there and look at this water spout, but I'm not going to turn it on until this and this and this and this happens. Well, at least turn it on, get a little trickle going. Then you get the trickle going, then you're aware of the drip. You're aware of the drip of the water. So if you've been aware of the drip of the water, then it's like, okay, all right, so then now, all right, let me turn it up a little bit more. Next thing you know, you put a little ice in there. You got a little glass in there. Oh, man, I'm thirsty. This is making me thirsty. Then you can take a big old gulp of water, you know, and then boom, that's your goals. That's your accomplishments. You're doing them. But yeah, I mean, right now I'm like, okay, yeah, at 40, yeah, boom, I'm going to do it. Like, now's the time. But I've always been like, you know, okay, things are going to happen when they're supposed to happen, even though I put things off. And maybe that's an excuse. I don't know. I'm like, all right, that happens. I might be putting them off. Yes, but at the same time, I'm also having faith and having trust that things are going to happen when they're supposed to happen. And I'll let things happen naturally. So it does kind of feel like, even though I'm saying to myself, it's going to be the time now, whenever I hit 40, like, things are going to start to happen. And then I'm like, oh, I think this is the natural progression of things as well. Like, okay, yeah, I'm feeling it, I'm seeing it. This is when it's supposed to happen. So now, if you get that realization of something's like, okay, now's the time. Well, I mean, then you got to do it. Then you got to do it. But to me, it's going to happen. It'll just happen. You know, things just happen. And you just let them happen. Like, for instance, the other day, you know, my cousin wanted me to go golfing with him the other day, and I'm like, man, I want to. Like, it's fun, but I did the week before, but I was like, man, I got to get some stuff done tomorrow. You know, but then I fall asleep in the chair for 3 hours, and my neck's hurt when I wake up. And then I'm like, well, you know, like, gosh dang it, I don't know. I don't really feel like doing anything. But then I go to my car to get something, you know, and the next thing you know, I'm like, oh, okay, I'm going to clean out my car now. And so I just start doing it, you know, and I just let things happen. And I just let things happen natural. And that's also a case in point of maybe doing things even though, you know, I try not to do things just based on my feelings, like, meh, you know, whatever, like, cool, I'm not feeling like I really want to do that right now, but I need to get it done. Do it anyways, man. Do it anyway. People are like, you know, it's like working out. I talked about that before. It's like sometimes, and I need to get back and doing that, but it's like sometimes, you know, I don't feel like going and doing it, but I go do it anyways because I know that how I'm going to feel afterwards. But with the car thing, it was like I wasn't even worried about my feeling. Like, all right, cool, got a little bit of a headache, whatever. Like, I'm just doing it. Like, and then things just start happening, you know. So, yeah, it's interesting. Hopefully, you gain something out of my thoughts. Jambalaya. I don't like jambalaya. It's kind of nasty. But yeah, writing update. Yeah, still got to get my my novella formatted so that I can then see if I want to use Amazon or whatever, and if the print's nice. Or maybe somebody come along and be like, oh man, what kind of books is this guy writing? Is there an agent out there listening? Would you like to be my agent? Well, whatever. I just trust the process, man. I trust the process of my life. I trust, anything you go down and set yourself into, like, all right, cool. If you're beginning, you're new at something, you're not going to probably be that great. You might have a natural ability for it, but if you just trust the process and you just learn, trust the process, and eventually the results are going to speak for themselves. So I'm trusting the process. So once I get the novella done, put that out there, sell a bunch of copies, hopefully, even though it's about COVID. I don't know how many people want to read about COVID. I really don't, but maybe some people will. It's a good story if you can kind of throw that out the window of what time period it was taking place. It's kind of like my baseball novel. It's about baseball, but it's not really about baseball. It's about life with a baseball as the backdrop, So, yeah, I can write good stories. So, yeah, once I get that published, then that will let me know whether or not I want to use that to publish my novel. So we shall see. We shall see. Trust in the process, man. Trust in the process. Okay, that'll about do it here on the old winding road today. I don't know how long I'm going to keep doing these things, I don't know. I at least want to get to 100 episodes. That would be cool. And, if I end up having a million, bazillion followers or whatever, maybe I will, maybe I won't. I'm not concerned about it. Again, guys, do things, if you make a positive effect on one person, that one person can make a positive effect on a million people. So just do it. Just do it. Don't worry about how many followers. Don't worry about how many subscribers you have. Just do it. Just do it. If you can be consistent, and I'm trying to be, I think the results will speak for themselves. I mean, obviously you got to assess yourself too. Like, okay, I don't know, am I good at this? Did I put enough time in this to know whether or not I'm good at this? And if I'm not good at it, that's okay. Figure out other things that you're good at, and do them. But I like doing things that, maybe I'm necessarily not good at. And I learn things and I get better at it. And I'm like, cool, I'm actually halfway decent at this, and going into it, I didn't know if I'd be any good at all. It's fun. It's fun. Y'all have a blessed day, a blessed life. I'm me, you're you, but we are each other. Oh, one more thing on being each other. Holy cow. They were talking about, the quantum entanglement and all that, and I think they put it through the Hadron Collider or whatever. They're talking about these particles now. They put through into this thing, and even though they're individual particles, whenever they're in there, it's like you cannot tell the difference. You cannot tell the difference from them. It's like if I dump water into the ocean, I'm not going to be able to know what part of it. It just becomes part of the whole grander thing, guys. And again, it's the disconnectedness that we have in these bodies, but we're all freaking connected, man. We're all connected. No doubt about it. We don't see that way. Taking the perspective of everything's just everybody's against each other, yada, yada, yeah. I look at wars and stuff going on, I'm just like, why? Why? I want to understand more of the why, and I do understand some of it, good, bad, evil, yin, yang, all that I think plays a part in it, for sure. But we are each other. God bless. Say bye, Ace. God bless.